In certain parts of the Gaza Strip, food shortages have reached unprecedented levels, surpassing the threshold for famine according to the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, that is IPC. The situation has escalated to the point where mass casualties are imminent unless an immediate ceasefire is implemented and a significant influx of food reaches the areas isolated by ongoing conflict. The IPC, a vital resource for UN agencies, reports that 70% of individuals in northern Gaza are experiencing the most severe form of food scarcity, far exceeding the 20% benchmark for famine classification. The IPC noted a lack of sufficient data on death rates but projected that residents would soon face famine-scale mortality rates defined as 2 deaths per 10,000 individuals daily due to starvation, malnutrition, or associated diseases. Gaza's health ministry has already reported 27 children and 3 adults succumbing to malnutrition. Urgent action is imperative to avert further catastrophe, with the Gaza Health Ministry emphasizing the necessity for an immediate political consensus on a ceasefire coupled with a substantial and immediate boost in humanitarian aid and commercial access across the entire Gaza. In all, 1.1 million Gazans, around half of the population, were experiencing catastrophic shortages of food, with around 300,000 in the areas now facing the prospect of famine-scale death rates. The prospect of a man-made famine in Gaza has brought the strongest criticism of Israel from Western allies since it launched its war against Hamas following their deadly attack on Israeli territory on October 7th. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell declared at a Brussels conference on aid for Gaza that the region is not merely on the brink of famine, but rather in a state of famine, asserting that starvation is being employed as a weapon of war and accusing Israel of provoking the crisis. In response, Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz urged Borrell to halt attacks on Israel and recognize its right to self-defense against Hamas's actions. Katz stated that Israel has permitted extensive humanitarian aid into Gaza via land, air, and sea for those willing to assist, but claimed that Hamas militants have disrupted aid efforts, allegedly with cooperation from the UN's aid agency UNRWA. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the situation described in the IPC report as an appalling indictment, insisting that Israel must grant complete and unhindered access to all parts of Gaza. British Foreign Minister David Cameron pledged to carefully review the report, acknowledging the urgency of the situation and calling for immediate action to prevent famine. Israel, initially restricting aid entry to Gaza through only 2 checkpoints on the southern edge, claimed to be expanding access routes by land, sea shipments, and airdrops, with the first aid boat arriving the previous week. However, aid agencies maintain they still face significant obstacles in delivering supplies safely, particularly in northern Gaza.